So welcome back, Pokemon trainers. We are here with our second top 8 match of the day, and we're going to feature two players that we haven't featured at all today in Swiss yet, so that's pretty exciting. Having some new faces on stream is always nice.
Definitely.
And we're going to feature Willem from the Netherlands, which is really cool. Actually, a Dutch player in top 8 now. I always like to see that. And then we have Aleksandra from Poland, also pretty new, I think, to the scene. We don't see a lot of Poland players at all, so that's also cool to see, definitely.
She's doing really well at this one as well. Obviously, I mean, top 8, tremendous achievement, but she's so calm and collected. We were just there sorting out the waivers and everything for the stream, and she was just really calm. Everything was brilliant. So both these players seem really relaxed.
Yeah.
So it should be a really good top 8 game we're going to see. And like you were saying, it's lovely to be in a top 8 position and having new players to show you as well. Because normally when you get to this stage, it's a lot of the similar faces. I mean, we just saw Yuri and Alex as well, so we've seen them before, and it's nice to showcase players who you don't normally get to see on stream as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really cool to see. That's always nice. So I wonder if we're going to see some surprises in their teams as well. I know Willem has some kind of techs in his team. I've talked to him a little bit about how he plays and what his kind of teams are. So I'm really excited to see what he has to offer there. I don't know too much about Aleksandra personally, but getting into top 8, that's already a big achievement. So she must have a lot of skill. So yeah, I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, and they're going to play the winner they're going to play Yuri, the winner of this game. And we do actually know that other top 4 game, I believe, is going to be Matthias again. So Lega has made it through to top 4, and he's going to be facing Matteo Agostini, I believe is the surname. So that's going to be very exciting. We will be bringing that action to you, I believe, after this game. But hey, team preview's up. Let's jump right into it. We have got on Willem's side the Xerneas Groudon combination with Tapu Fini, Incineroar, Amoonguss and Talonflame, a Pokemon that's a blast from the past of 2016.
Yeah, I really like to see that. That's such an old school Pokemon, and even though it got nerfed, it still has its usage apparently.
Yeah, it's still doing really, really well here. And on Alexandra's side, you have got the Smeargle, Groudon, Ludicolo, Stakataka, Incineroar and Xerneas. So I love seeing the Ludicolo paired with the Groudon.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Probably just having that Ludicolo as an option to counter these Kyogre teams, because Ludicolo does really well against these teams. And just to talk about Talonflame. Talonflame has been used a lot in 2016, but then with the new generation came out, Gillwings got nerfed, which meant that once Talonflame takes damage, which is basically after every one of its recall moves,
Brave Bird,
it doesn't have that same priority anymore. So it needs to rely on its base speed instead of that +1 priority. So it was kind of a big nerf for Talonflame. So we don't see a lot of people still using it. But Willem has actually managed to pilot it into top 8, so it must definitely still have some firepower in it.
I mean, there's a lot of Venusaur running around. We've seen it quite a lot of times, and that's a Pokemon that doesn't want to take a Brave Bird or a Flare Blitz.
Especially with priority. Then you can have Chlorophyll all that you want.
It's not going to help.
This Brave Bird's going to go first either way.
Exactly.
So it's definitely interesting ability there, and it's just being able to set up really fast Tailwinds, Brave Bird, Flare Blitz.
It gets Quick Guard as well, doesn't it?
It gets Quick Guard.
Lots of Fake Out.
It gets Taunt, it gets Will-O-Wisp. It's quite a good kind of support moves. It's not the bulkiest of Pokemon. But I think it's a really nice addition to this Xerneas Groudon team. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him bring that, especially when you see that Ludicolo on the opponent's side, that Smeargle as well. It can definitely do some stuff against Alexandra's team.
Exactly, and if you look at Alexandra's team as well, you're going to potentially, if you're Willem, want to get the Tailwind up. Yes, she's got the Stakataka and the Incineroar, but Trick Room, if you can shut that down, then you want to be able to get the speed up against something like the Xerneas, so that gets boosted, or the Groudon or the Ludicolo. But it's going to be the Incineroar and Xerneas lead for Willem, as Alexandra's gone for the Stakataka and the Smeargle. So actually, maybe Trick Room will be coming out here, and Willem's got to shut that down.
Exactly. Looks like a hard kind of Trick Room setup mode for Aleksandra there. Leading the support Pokemon and that Stakataka there. Stakataka, of course, really good in Trick Room. And if I look at Willem's team, it doesn't have too much to really stop it. The Stakataka is only really afraid of the Groudon. I know most of Stakataka these days, they run safety goals to make sure that Amoonguss is also not very scary to them at all. So that way they can just ignore Rage Powder, ignore Sleep Powder as well. So it's really threatening. And Willem has to switch out his Xerneas here because it's so threatened by the Stakataka.
Exactly, does not want to take a Gyro Ball at all. Willem's going to switch it in and bring in that Groudon. You were just saying the one threat to Stakataka is the Groudon, and that's the Pokemon that's come onto the field. Smeargle going for the Fake Out, though, going to go into that Incineroar first of all. Incineroar, of course, going to flinch, not be able to potentially go back for the Fake Out and stop the Trick Room. So Willem, I think, knowing he couldn't stop it with his leads, there was no way to prevent that from going up. So getting Groudon onto the field before Stakataka is maybe able to get some boosts up could be a really good play here. Yeah,
that's really nice for Willem for sure. The Stakataka is in a decent position here. I mean, it can't really knock out any of these two Pokemon here, and it really has to be worried about the Precipice Blades. Smeargle could potentially support it in terms of White Guard, something like that. But if it does that, then it basically offers itself for free Flare Blitz from the Incineroar. So I think Willem is in a good position here. Even though Aleksandra set up the Trick Room she doesn't really have the sweeping power at the moment, and Willem has all the offensive pressure on his field. So Aleksandra really has to reposition herself in a way that she can take on this Groudon. And if I look at her team, she doesn't really have fantastic switch-ins into that Groudon. So she might have to go for a wide guard, maybe bring in her own Groudon instead. Kind of reposition himself in order to do some damage to this Groudon and this Incineroar combination.
Exactly, particularly in the sun as well. Incineroar is going to be dealing out really powerful Flare Blitz, like you mentioned. Stack Attacker actually going to jump right out of there, and Incineroar is going to come in. So a good switch in there from Aleksandra. It's able to utilize the sun, but most crucially, get off this Intimidate against both of these physical attackers. It's going to be negating some of the damage that, particularly that Groudon, is capable of throwing out. But you do have to worry about Smeargle. Smeargle is going for the wide guard. It does potentially have things like Spore up its sleeve as well. There's no Tapu Fini on the field at the moment. Potentially it could come into play and stop that from going off. But it's going to be the U-turn here from Incineroar. This could be the time to bring in something like the Amoonguss, just to utilize some more of the Trick Room environment. But I probably want to bring the Tapu Fini in here now if it is in the back. But no, actually, Xerneas. Interesting Pokemon for Trick Room.
Yeah, that's interesting there. I'm not sure why you bring in Xerneas here again. Maybe he has a Talonflame in the back then instead.
Potentially.
We see a Fire Punch also going into the Smeargle potentially. And now we see how these Moody boosts are paying off a lot of times. Like even though he got the -1 on both the Incineroar and the Groudon, a Smeargle usually would have gone down to a combination. But the defense raised sharply there and allowed Smeargle to actually survive and take those attacks quite easily.
Yeah, and it just got the special defense boost as well, so it's going to have a great defense against Xerneas.
Yeah, it's quite bulky now. It's really crazy. This Incineroar in Trick Room is actually feeling pretty good right now, but Willem has a chance to maybe switch in his Groudon and maybe try bringing his Incineroar again. Oh, it's Tapu Fini instead.
So it is the Tapu Fini. You see that coming onto the field. I think this is a good switch because it's going to stop any spores coming out from Smeargle. It also will do, depending on the water type moves, can maybe do some fairy type moves as well with Nature's Madness into that Incineroar and just start whittling away some of the health. Takes the fake out very nicely as well. As Xerneas goes for the Dazzling Gleam. Thanks to that special defense boost from Smeargle, really not going to do too much. And the lovely Kiss being revealed on Smeargle as well. A move really rising in popularity due to the amount of grass type Pokemon that you want to put to sleep, but you can't normally with Spore or Sleep Powder.
Yeah, exactly. I think great switch by Willem there. Aleksandra didn't go for the Flare Blitz into Xerneas, which would have taken a lot of damage. He went for the fake out and the lovely Kiss instead. So Willem took got a lot of free damage off on that turn, and I think I like how he went for Dazzling Gleam and not for a Moonblast on the Smeargle. Because the Smeargle's on the field right now, it's not going to do anything. You don't even really want to KO it per se, because when it's on the field now, it can't really support this Incineroar in any kind of way. So you kind of want to stall out the Trick Room in this kind of way, and maybe get rid of the Smeargle later at any point. And this Tapu Fini is now also looking pretty good at the moment. Incineroar, I think Willem might just switch in his own Incineroar again, which is probably what we're going to see here.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Tapu Fini does retreat back. It set up the Misty Terrain. It did what it needed to do, and Incineroar is going to come back in to fire off another Intimidate. Smeargle, like we were saying, is really not doing much for Aleksandra at the moment. Even though it's got those lovely defensive boosts, it is in such low health, it's really not going to be able to do much, and you might want to just take it back into its Pokeball for a while, able to use Fake Out later on in the game, which could be crucial. Aleksandra bringing in her Groudon, though, as Incineroar goes for the knockoff. Going to connect onto that Xerneas, knocking off the Power Hub, and we saw in Sam Bentham's game yesterday how crucial that can be to putting yourself in such an advantageous position. Yep, goes for the Geomancy, but doesn't have that Power Hub, Rob.
No, but
it's going to be tricky.
But at least he brings in his Incineroar, so at least he has the Fake Out pressure available. And he puts Incineroar at -1. I think did the Groudon come in later?
It did, unfortunately.
So unfortunately, the Groudon is not intimidated yet, but he does have the Fake Out pressure. So he can Fake Out the Groudon and he can finish up the Geomancy. So this is probably a good turn for Aleksandra to switch out her Incineroar and bring in her Stack Attack again, which is, I think, our main answer to the Xerneas on Willem's side. Willem can't switch out at the moment. He's stuck in Geomancy. So that's kind of a free switch into the Stack Attack. And if you're Willem, you definitely need to Fake Out the Groudon, or you're going to lose your Incineroar after this turn.
Definitely, and I think as well, Willem has done quite well trying to stall out this Trick Room. Aleksandra managed to get it up turn 1, but hasn't really been able to utilize it. You can see there's not been a lot of damage put across Willem's Pokemon here at the moment.
No, I think Willem did more damage actually in Trick Room.
Yeah, he's managed to utilize the position really well. But like you said, if this Stack Attacker comes back in, which it has, if Aleksandra's maybe able to get that Trick Room up again, particularly with Xerneas being boosted, it's going to be even not in a good position at all. Fake Out going into what was the Groudon, but Stack Attacker safely has gone in, and it's actually quite nice to see Xerneas get the Geomancy off without the power herb, so good for it.
doesn't need the power herb all the time.
No.
It just got it off either way.
That's why it's a legendary.
That's pretty good. And I wonder what kind of move Aleksandra's Incineroar is going to go for. If it goes for a U-turn here, that could be really good. Oh, it
goes for a roar. Great play there from Aleksandra. That Incineroar really got the best moves on there at the moment, getting the knockoff.
Oh, and if you're Willem, you're going to be really bored. You're going to be really annoyed that this is not a Groudon coming in.
No.
If this was a Groudon coming in right now, how happy would you be? You're facing an Incineroar and a Stakataka. So Willem kind of shaking his head there. It was kind of a 50-50. It was only a Tapu Fini and the Groudon in the back. So it's really unfortunate for him there. He would have been in a great position otherwise. But now Aleksandra looks pretty safe to just go for another fake out Trick Room.
Exactly.
And maybe try to capitalize a little bit more of it this time.
Exactly. Maybe get Sam to a better position. But at the end of the day, she's done one thing in that Trick Room. She got rid of a boosted Xerneas.
Yeah, and then she got rid of the item as well. So, I mean, if it has the Geomancy again, it's going to take 2 turns again. So
exactly. It tried so hard to get the Geomancy up without its item, and then it gets ruled out. But I think ultimately that does show that every single team needs an answer to Xerneas. And a lot of Game 1 is getting that information. We haven't seen these players on stream before, so they haven't maybe gauged a little bit of information from yesterday's games.
Yeah.
But that kind of information is really, really crucial, and Willem has to be aware of that, and it's something you have to consider. I'm so delighted to see that. I'm going to probably get a lot of hate for this, but I love seeing Swagger.
Oh, is a Flare Blitz in the sun at +2? That could be enough for this Stakataka, and Aleksandra didn't go for a fake out at all.
No, she didn't.
Oh no, she went for the roar. She couldn't fake out anyway. Oh, is she going to go for a knockoff instead? So no Flare Blitz.
Yeah, knockoff going into that Stakataka. Knocks off the safety goggles as it goes for a Gyro Ball, actually. So no Trick Room coming off here. I'm going to go into that Incineroar, deal a good amount of chip damage. But interestingly enough, not getting up the Trick Room.
No, that's really interesting. I'm not sure why you wouldn't want to get up Trick Room at that point.
Maybe fear Taunt from Tapu Fini?
Could be, yeah, definitely. You could fear taunts. And I'm not sure why you want to Gyro Ball the Incineroar, because that doesn't do a lot of damage at all. Maybe predicting a switch in there.
Yeah, I could have thought the Xerneas was maybe coming back in so you can preserve your fake out for later.
Or the Groudon maybe. But either way, this puts Willem in a good position to just go for another target onto that Stakataka slot.
Exactly, and the Swagger move as well, that Incineroar is going to be really boosted up. The Incineroar on Aleksandra's side going to shoot right back, get that Smeargle out, get another fake out going off, but more crucially, getting that Intimidate back in the back to use again against this boosted Incineroar. Stakataka, though, going for the Protect, though, doesn't want to take any damage potentially by these huge Flare Blitz. But it's going to be the U-turn into that slot, so going to retreat back and do exactly what Aleksandra's done in the with her Incineroar, put it in the back, get that Intimidate and fake out for another day, and also picks up the KO against that Smeargle that can be so pesky.
Yeah, I like the play by Willem a lot. Even though he has a +2 Incineroar on the field, he's not going to get greedy. He knows that even though he's at +2, he needs the fake out and Intimidate more than he needs the sort of the strong Incineroar. And this way, he actually, first of all, he gets the sun back up, he gets rid of the Smeargle, and he brings his fake out back in the back. Plus, he gets a Groudon now against the Stakataka again, which already protected. So if you're Aleksandra, you kind of need to bring your Incineroar here. And if you want to go for a Trick Room at some point, this is again one of the turns where you should do it. But Willem having access to just bringing in his own Incineroar, limiting the damage from Aleksandra's 2 Pokemon on the field right now, puts the Groudon still in kind of a strong position. It's still at full health as well. So not really threatened by Gyro Ball Flare Blitz combination, especially if they're going to be intimidated from a potential Incineroar switch in. So if you're Aleksandra, I think you still need to try for that Trick Room mode.
Exactly, and let the Groudon, even though it's been intimidated, we've seen the damage output depending on the item on that Pokemon. And it's one of those things at the moment we still don't know what the item is.
No.
So if it is something like a Choice Band, that Intimidate's really not going to be doing the work that Aleksandra would be hoping it would be doing. But Incineroar jumps back in for Willem as the fake out comes out from the Incineroar on Aleksandra's side, going into that Groudon as Stakataka does go for another Trick Room. So does manage to get up, and once again we see the Incineroar Stakataka in a Trick Room environment.
Yeah, but now Willem has his own Incineroar out as well. And it's really awkward now for Aleksandra because it's just a double target onto Groudon. It should not be able to pick up the KO there. None of these Pokemon are able to take a Precipice Blaze. I don't think it needs to have a Choice Band. It doesn't even need to have a Life Orb at this point. They both already took so much chip damage. You don't even want to switch your own Groudon into that, because the Incineroar on Willem's side could also be going for a Flare Blitz into either of these slots. But I think if you're Willem, you might just want to U-turn out again and get your... Oh, he's going to switch out instead.
Yeah, it just goes for the hard switch, gets Tapu Fini back in. And this is dangerous for Aleksandra. We've already seen this Tapu Fini does have Swagger. And if it goes onto the Groudon, those Precipice Blades are going to be unstoppable, as long as they connect. But who knows, Tapu Fini might have gravity. Aleksandra does bring back her Incineroar as well. So both of these Firecats switching out as Groudon does come in for Aleksandra. Stakataka going for the Protect, though, doesn't want to take the damage from this Precipice Blaze. But like you said, Rob, it's still risky bringing in your own Groudon, which is exactly what Aleksandra's done. Precipice Blades going off from Willem, and it will connect on that Groudon on the switch in. despite taking the Intimidate, it actually does barely anything.
That's a really bulky Groudon. Probably not a very offensive Groudon on Willem's side as well. So I would assume 2 really bulky Groudons.
Yeah, slow and bulky.
Yeah. This is actually a good play by Aleksandra. I like it a lot because you're getting your own Groudon. And now you can maybe go for a Precipice Blades Gyro Ball combination and hope that you pick up the KO onto the Groudon on Willem's side. But Willem really played that pretty safely, made sure that he got the Incineroar in the back again, so he can just fire off another Intimidate on it, which would make his Groudon pretty safe. So if you're Aleksandra, you kind of need to keep the Stakataka in the back, so I think you need to switch out your Stakataka, go for an Incineroar, hope at -2 that you're able to take this Precipice Blades, and we're going to see right now if that is actually the case.
Very well called there, Rob. Incineroar does jump back in, and I think it's just like you said, you want to lower the attack stat onto that Groudon, just so it's not dealing as much damage, but you have to worry about the Swagger still from that Tapu Fini, because that can just completely take it right back up to neutral. Thanks to the speed, so the Groudon's going to be going first. We'll connect the Precipice Blades once again.
Is that enough? No, not even
it's
close.
not. The -2 really paying off there. And actually activates the Berry on that Incineroar. So great switch in there for Aleksandra. Not only does she get the Intimidate off, but gets the Berry HP boost as well. Swords Dance coming out from the opposing Incineroar, though. So that's another way to boost up your attack stats. And I think in a game where you've got so much Intimidate going on with all the Incineroars, you need a way to be able to boost up your attacks. But Groudon actually avoids.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. Yeah, that's one of these moves. Swagger, yeah, you run Swagger, you run Precipice Blades.
You need to run Gravity.
Yeah, you want to run Gravity at that point. Maybe Gravity is on this Tapu Fini set, but Willem didn't really have the time yet to go for that move.
No, and there are lots of moves you can put on Tapu Fini.
And Aleksandra put herself in such a good position right now because Willem can't really switch in his Incineroar to lower the damage because that would just knock out his Incineroar straight away. And this Groudon from Willem, with a +2 Precipice Blades and a Flare Blitz maybe coming in from the Incineroar as well, that's not going to be able to take that.
No, we can imagine Aleksandra's got a really, really slow Groudon as well.
I have to assume so.
It's potentially going to be going first in this Trick Room setting, and it's just going to be dealing out so much damage. Willem, though, wisely protecting his own Groudon just to maybe save it out this turn from getting KO'd as the Incineroar goes for the Fake Out on Aleksandra's side. Targets the Tapu Fini correctly, though, as this Precipice Blades, does it connect onto that Tapu Fini? It's going to do a huge amount of damage, and it avoids. Tapu Fini, of course, flinches, unable to get anything off, but will survive the turn.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty big. I don't think it might have lived. Tapu Fini, I'm not sure how bulky it is. Tapu Fini can be trained really bulky, so but it's a +2 Precipice Blades. It would have done a ton of damage there. And if you're Willem, if it would have KO'd, maybe that's actually what you would have wanted, because then you would have been able to bring in your Incineroar and go for a Fake Out.
Intimidate and Fake Out.
And then there's only one turn of Trick Room remaining, so then you could easily stall it out. So I'm not sure, maybe you wanted to actually sack the Tapu Fini there. So if you're Aleksandra, maybe you're not too unhappy about that miss, because now you still got another turn to go for that +2 Precipice Blades. And maybe this is the turn where you also bring in Stakataka again, so you can have the Incineroar in the back to offer that Fake Out pressure.
Well, Groudon, not wanting to risk the double protect, switches out and gets in that Incineroar.
He has to sack the Incineroar now.
Yeah, just gets off that Intimidate very, very crucially, and you just want to be able to get as much Intimidate value for your money here, lowering the attack stat onto that Groudon. Incineroar, they're going for the knockoff, going to remove, I think it was the... Oh, no, I think it already had its item.
Yeah, it
already munched on its little berry. As Precipice Blades will connect, does pick up the KO on Incineroar, but Tapu Fini does actually survive there.
Yeah, at -1, so at +2 attack, it would have easily picked up the KO there.
Yeah, but -1 allows it to eat its little berry, regain a little bit of health, and will be able to move here in this turn.
Ooh, an Icy Wind.
Putting himself in a good position for when Trick Room runs out, just lowering some of the speed stats on here. But I think it's very clear this Tapu Fini is not offensive in any way.
No.
It's changed a lot from last format where we saw a lot of Hydro Vortex and things like that. But I think...
Yeah, and a Calm Mind Tapu Fini.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's a lot more of a supporter set with things like Swagger, possibly Nature's Madness, and as you saw, that Icy Wind.
Yeah, and I think now if you're Willem, you have a choice to make. We're still not sure if this is Gravity Tapu Fini. But if it is, you can either now go for a Gravity Precipice Blades, but then you might not pick up the KO on your opposing Groudon. So you might take a lot of damage from a +1 Precipice Blades in return. What you can also do is you can go for Self-Strike again and Precipice Blades.
That's too much mischance
for my heart to handle.
There.
So I think if you have Gravity here, this is a pretty safe turn to go for it, because a Groudon on Willem's side should be able to take at least one Precipice Blades, even at +1, because Groudon has such a big physical defense.
Yeah, and we've seen the Tapu Fini outside of Trick Rooms faster than Willem's Groudon as well, so either Swagger Precipice Blades or Gravity Precipice Blades are going to be a good play here. Yeah. Aleksandra going defensive, though, switches back in the stack attack, potentially sacking it to a Precipice Blades here. Tapu Fini going to go for the Swagger. Does connect. It's learned its lesson from last time. Groudon going to be so happy to get that +2 attack stat, but is it going to connect? That is going to be the question. Goes for the Precipice Blades, obviously going to hit the Protect of the opposing Groudon, but Stack Attacker not nimble enough to avoid that one, unfortunately. Will jump in and sacrifice itself, giving Aleksandra the opportunity, though, to bring the Incineroar back in again, and then be able to utilize that Fake Out. Yeah,
so we see two Groudons really setting up in terms of attack here, and basically dealing out all the damage on both of their sides. But Willem just has the speed advantage, which I think is really big right now. And Aleksandra now puts Willem's Groudon also at +1, so both of the Groudons at +1 right now. But if you're Willem, you're probably pretty safe to just protect your Groudon. And at this point, if your Fini actually doesn't have gravity, which it doesn't look like, you're going to be hoping for Precipice Blades hits either way. But first you have to protect from this potential Fake Out coming on from Aleksandra's side.
No, exactly. It's just sort of Groudon v Groudon. I was talking to Matthias in the interview after his top 16 game, and he was saying Groudon wasn't going to be that good because it's not in its primal form, which it will get later on, but it's been so dominant regardless.
It's been still really good. I mean, Precipice Blades is still a really strong move, and it's still one of the best Pokemon to support your Xerneas with. And it's also, this format, there are not a lot of ground resists. It's just you can spam Precipice Blades, and if you don't miss, you're going to do a lot of damage.
Exactly. Well, it's going to be the Protect on the Groudon there. Doesn't want to take any Fake Out damage or get faked out, but Aleksandra has actually called that correctly and goes into that Tapu Fini. Groudon going for the Precipice Blade, so is it going to connect on this Tapu Fini?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it will. And, you know, we've seen at +1 how much damage it can do. This will be... picking up the KO there. So unfortunately, Willem is not going to be able to utilize that very snazzy Tapu Fini there. But it does mean he's able to bring in his Xerneas now. That's something that can apply a little bit of pressure against Incineroar as well. But I feel like if he can just get the Precipice Blades off on his Groudon, he's going to be in a great position here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of wondering as well if he maybe can play it a little bit safer and maybe go for Dazzling Gleam Fire Punch combination on the opposing Groudon. He knows he has the speed advantage. Maybe all he has to worry about is potentially proccing a berry on this Groudon. I'm just thinking about ways that he doesn't have to risk the Precipice Blades here.
No, very true.
Because I don't think Incineroar is the biggest threat for him here. So I think maybe Dazzling Gleam and Fire Punch should be able to pick up the KO on this Groudon here. And he's actually going for Geomancy instead.
Yeah, he had his Power Herb knocked off, didn't he?
He did, actually,
so very risky play here. Maybe just
and he's still going to go for the Precipice Blades. Is it? Oh, wait, this is the Groudon, but it hits the Incineroar. And I think that's the one that he definitely needed to hit.
Yeah,
I think at least next turn he should get another opportunity to hit it. I'm not sure why you would go for the Geomancy there, because I think you might just want to get off some damage against the Groudon.
Xerneas avoids, though. Oh, these Precipice Blades are absolutely wreaking havoc throughout this game. Such a bold and risky play to go for the 2-turn Geomancy. Yeah. You saw how much damage that did to the Groudon. Again, just these Precipice Blades can... If he went for 2 of them, potentially connected them on the Xerneas, he could have picked up the KO there.
He could have.
So the Geomancy boost would have been for absolutely nothing, but getting that crucial avoid, it means that potentially now this Xerneas is going to be able to completely go up to all of its boosts that it's finally wanted to get. It's going to be such a great finale to end of game 1 if he's able to get it up. But he does just have to survive any moves coming out from this Groudon. And we all know critical hits can happen. You can hear the crowd chanting behind us.
Is it going to happen?
Let's see. They're going for the Precipice Blades. It does connect.
No, that looks like a critical hit.
Yes, it was a critical hit.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say about that. That was exactly what Aleksandra needed. And you could see the reactions from both of the players here as well.
It looks like he might have to go for Precipice Blades here. I know that you don't want to risk Fire Punch here, because that's probably out of range.
No, you need to click Precipice Blades. It's single target as well, though, so it's going to be doing that extra little bit more of damage.
Yeah, but you don't need that damage at this point. You're both at +1. It's just... who hits wins, and Willem has the speed advantage, and he hits.
Yes, and it does hit. Oh my gosh. I would not have wanted to be the players in that particular moment, but what an incredible game.
That was really intense, and you saw how much time Aleksandra had on her own time. She had about 10 seconds left, so that game couldn't have taken out much longer, or she would have lost the time, actually.
When you look at the big clock, that game 1 took 20 minutes. You only have 50 minutes on the round time, so I think, you know, guys, go get another cup of tea, buckle up. We're going to be in for a long one here.
And I still feel like Willem could have went for the Dazzling Gleam Fire Punch play. I think it would have probably sealed the game for him right there. If the Dazzling Gleam would maybe proc the potential berry on Aleksandra's Groudon, which he might have been afraid of. So he just tries to risk the Precipice Blades either way. Misses one in the end, but in the end it didn't matter. He has the speed advantage, so he has at least more chances to hit this Precipice Blades. And he picks up the win in the end. And I think a pretty deserved win, even though there were some luck on both sides there.
But both players played so well, particularly with their Groudons. Getting them in at the right time, making sure that your Incineroar came in at the right time to get the Fake Out and the Intimidate. Again, I feel like this is like the buzzword at the moment, Fake Out, Intimidate, Incineroar. But it is such a good Pokemon at the moment, helping out these more powerful, like powerhouses in terms of Groudon and Xerneas. And with that Smeargle as well, being that little tricksy Pokemon, we've seen that You can get the fake out off it. You can use follow me. It's got wide guard as well. So that's some really good information for Willem going into the next game. But I don't know about you, Rob, but my adrenaline is still racing from that. We've got the crowd right behind us as well.
I can't imagine what the players are feeling now. Like, I'm already almost sweating when I see like, oh, I have to hit this precipice blades, and we're like, oh god. I can't even imagine what it's like now to being behind that screen and be like, oh god, this is such a big precipice blades move that I'm gonna click right now. Oh. You don't want to do that, but you have to do that in that kind of position. And that's the really scary part about these Groudon mirrors. Sometimes you're just going to come down to these precipice blades, hitting or not.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened here. That critical hit as well, there's one thing that happens with Pokemon. Sometimes they don't matter. We saw the critical hit, I believe it's from a fake out earlier on, and no one really minds that. That's okay, we'll take those. You can use up your critical hit luck on those. But I wonder if these players are going to change anything. We saw the Stack Attack Smeargle lead from Aleksandra in game 1. I wonder if she's going to... Like, in that position, there was nothing that Willem could do to stop that Trick Room from going up. So I wonder if he's going to make an adjustment to stop that in this next game.
I think Aleksandra kind of needs to bring the Stack Attack, because without it, she looks kind of Xerneas weak, to be honest. So that's kind of her way to stop that. And Willem did actually bring a Xerneas, but it didn't do too much at all. So maybe an Amoonguss or an Talonflame could be better. And Aleksandra tries to go with the same game plan again. Don't mind that at all. I think it was a good game plan. And Willem actually deciding to go with the same lead as well.
Yeah, exactly. Not changing out from either of these players. So, yes, the Incineroar can get the fake out off, but we have seen the Smeargle is faster with the fake out. So, potentially could be seeing a Trick Room Geomancy here, or Willem could do what he did in game 1 and want to switch that Xerneas out of there. Yeah,
this looks like the position where you want to bring in your Groudon. If you're 1-0 up, though, if you want to be risky, and you saw what Aleksandra did in the last turn, where she faked out the Incineroar and went for Trick Room. If you want to be a little bit risky, you could go for a Dazzling Gleam and switching your Groudon on the Incineroar slot. Get some chip onto Smeargle, but then you're risking a potential Gyro Ball on the switch in. But you do have that game 1 advantage already, of course. So maybe you can play a little bit safer, a little bit riskier.
And anything can happen in these games. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some absolutely crazy plays. And one of those Pokemon's going to be the Tapu Fini jumping right back in. As Smeargle does go for the lovely kiss.
For a lovely kiss.
No fake out here.
So great switch in by Willem then. Maybe expecting that Aleksandra didn't want to go for just a fake out again. And again, he brings to the Fini exactly the right moment.
They didn't want to go through the motions of game 1, completely changed up their strategy for this game, and bringing that Tapu Fini with its terrain, such a great play there for Willem.
Yeah, and now Groudon is looking pretty good again.
Yeah, looking really powerful. So it all depends on what the Stack Attack is going to go for. Even if it goes for something, though, like Trick Room, it's still not going to be able to do much to this Groudon.
No, Gyro Balls, it's going to do a decent amount of damage, but if you're Willem, you probably just want to bring in your own Incineroar again and keep on intimidating this Stack Attack on Aleksandra's side. To just prevent it from moving. And I kind of missed what kind of moody boost it got, but I heard some booing from the crowd. So I'm not sure if you saw what kind of moody it was, but it might have been something really interesting in terms of evasiveness, for example, or accuracy. I don't know.
As well with this Smeargle, it's got wide guard, and that's something you have to worry about if you want to be hitting those precipice blades. It doesn't matter if they're even going to hit if you've got wide guard active, but even so, Stack Attack is not necessarily going to want to take a Fire Punch in the sun, particularly if Tapu Fini's able to get up something like a Swagger on it.
No, but I think Aleksandra also has a pretty safe switching into Incineroar here. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for like a Wide Guard and switches Stack Attack out for that Incineroar again, like she did in game 1. It's a pretty safe switch from her end. But it does probably lose her to Smeargle, which will be pretty good for Willem, just getting that at the Mons advantage. She just keeps her Stack Attacker in instead.
Yep, goes for the Wide Guard on that Smeargle, doesn't want to risk the Precipice Blades here. As Stack Attacker goes boldly for the Gyro Ball here, going to go into that Groudon, doing a decent amount of damage as Stone Edge comes out. So good reveal there from the Groudon, does manage to connect it, and will be picking up the KO on that Smeargle, so no more Wide Guarding from that Pokemon, as Tapu Fini goes for Haze. So another one of the moves revealed here. Potentially was going into that Smeargle with its crazy stat boost. Unfortunately, we both missed. I was taking a drink of water. Rob was catching up on it all. It just wasn't a good time to take my eyes off the screen. But either way, we don't have to worry about the boost on that Smeargle because it has now left the field. But
yeah, what it also could be like, maybe he was predicting an Incineroar switch in, and he was just making sure that his Groudon was back to neutral. Now it actually kind of helps Aleksandra because he puts now the Stack Attacker back at neutral attack. And Willem's Groudon it kind of scares me a little bit. Stone Edge, Precipice Blades.
Yeah. The nerve, like honestly, the bravery of Willem right now for the moves that he's got on here, like a braver man than I could ever be with Groudon.
But I also understand Aleksandra's play of just maybe, yes, she did sack Smeargle pretty early this time, but getting off some chip damage onto Groudon is pretty important. We've seen Groudon run through her team otherwise, and Willem's Groudon is now at low health, where Double Up is going to pick up the KO there, so he needs to preserve it in a better way than he did in game 1. But it's pretty safe to bring in Incineroar, maybe just protect the Groudon here, which it looks like he's doing.
Yeah, Incineroar going to come in pressure with the fake out, but I think the amount of damage that Dire Ball did, like you said, you can't afford to lose your Groudon.
No.
Groudon's going to be key to winning this game for
sun,
whichever player.
Hurt.
Exactly, and in Trick Room, that Incineroar is going to be faster. Goes for the fake out though, no protect, so Groudon will be taking that little additional bit of chip, and Gyro Ball going to come out from the stack attacker, going to go into the Incineroar this time though, targeting down that Tapu Fini. So Groudon a little bit lucky that managed to keep a lot of that HP, but you know, will be flinching. So at the end of the day, you could afford to not target down that Pokemon because you were flinching it anyway.
Yeah, true. I'm not sure about how bulky this Groudon is from Willem's side, but if you're really confident about taking a Gyro Ball and a Flare Blades, you could just go for a Precipice Blades here and maybe U-turn out with your own Incineroar. But he's also just has a really safe switching into this Tapu Fini, and he can maybe just Flare Blitz the Stakataka, because even though either you do 50% to the Stakataka or you do a lot of damage to the potential Groudon coming in on Aleksandra's side.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what's happening. You're calling it perfectly here, Rob. Groudon going to jump in for Aleksandra's side. A Stack Attacker does just go for the Protect. So potentially, Aleksandra is very happy letting a Precipice Blades come out at this stage. Incineroar, they're going for the U-turn. Goes into what was the Groudon, so it can switch back into the back, save itself up for another turn, and potentially give Willem the opportunity to bring in something like his Xerneas and get it ready for when Trick Room ends.
Yeah, I don't think you really can afford to bring in the Xerneas already, though, because Stakataka is still in the field, so you're going to have to be scared. You're going to have to be afraid of that a little bit.
Maybe Tapu Fini in for some more swagger shenanigans?
Yeah, probably. Tapu Fini is just, it's kind of a bulky switching for Willem at the moment. Without the speed advantage that he has outside of Trick Room, it's not doing much, because it's going to swagger as your last Pokemon there.
Groudon avoids.
At -1, it probably wouldn't have done too much damage either way, but it could have been important chip. So
yeah, every little bit of damage on these Groudons at the minute is crucial, I think.
But I don't think Willem can complain too much. He's hit most of his Precipice Blades so far. Hit the most important ones that he needed to. So if you miss one or two there, with a game advantage already in your favor, I don't think you're not going to mind too much. And I think this is kind of a moment where you hesitate switching the Incineroar again, because he has to be afraid of double up onto the Groudon. A Gyro Ball and a Precipice Blades from Aleksandra could probably pick up the KO there, but if you're Willem and you switch in Incineroar on the Fini slot, I think Groudon should be able to take a double up and get a revenge kill on Stakataka.
Well, Stakataka are going to leave the field, can't be KO'd this turn, as Incineroar will jump in for Aleksandra's side. So once again, these players just trying to get themselves in a position where they can fake out on the next turn and just help out their partner Pokemon, potentially allowing the Groudon on Aleksandra's side to go for a Sword Stance that we had revealed in the previous game. Groudon, though, on Willem's side, going for the Precipice Blades, does hit. You were saying it was very accurate. He was listening. He said, yes, I am, and does a decent amount of damage on that Incineroar despite all of the Intimidates. Groudon does go for the Sword Stance, though, so going to be boosting up, sort of taunting the fact that the other Groudon has -2 now, is it?
I think it's -2 now, yeah.
-2. Tapu Fini goes for Haze.
Great play there, great play. He made sure that no matter what Aleksandra did, like either, okay, sure, she could have gotten enough for Precipice Blades, but it wouldn't have KO'd the Fini yet anyway.
No.
And this way it's really safe, because Fini wasn't doing much in that position anyway.
No, and gets rid of all the Intimidates.
Exactly, so that's really good. And not only do you haze your own Groudon back to neutral, you get rid of the Swords Dance. So that's kind of a double functioning haze there.
Tapu Fini doing so good.
Yeah, it's amazing here. And right now, Willem is pretty safe to just bring in his own Incineroar again. Maybe protect his Groudon, because you don't want to get faked out. Because Aleksandra does have the fake out pressure at the moment, but he's looking really strong right now. With that haze, he just put himself in such a good position, especially with the Trick Room running out.
Yeah, he can now Icy Wind as well to make sure outside of Trick Room he is going to have the faster Groudon.
At least he can't swagger at the moment because the Misty Terrain is run out.
I mean, he could be brave and try.
That would be really brave. Ooh.
Definitely
not
too
just
risky.
Not just risking the miss, but also the confusion. No.
Yeah, let's not go for that play.
No.
But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised at the moment. But actually, it's going to be the double switcher for Willem. He's going to switch out the Fini and the Groudon. I'm going to see Incineroar and Xerneas. So potentially now, outside of this Trick Room, he's going to want to go for something like the Geomancy. But as we've seen quite often, it's very risky bringing in your Xerneas in front of the Incineroar purely for that knockoff. But it's going to be the fake out here going into that Xerneas. Aleksandra didn't quite call the switch in there. As Precipice Blades will connect on the opposing Groudon. Incineroar really not going to appreciate taking this, but does manage to survive.
Yeah, and it should eat this. Oh no, it already did eat his berry.
I feel like
I don't think it has a berry then.
No.
So I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of item Willem has. Maybe something like a Pasho berry. Maybe it's an Assault Vest Incineroar. That could be one of the items as well. But now he has the fake out pressure. I'm still not sure if you really want to go for the Geomancy here, because if you're Aleksandra, this is a moment where you just bring in your Stakataka. I think if you want to be really risky, but if you're Willem, you want to go for a Geomancy and maybe switching your Groudon. Maybe potentially expecting a Stakataka switch in from Aleksandra. But we've already seen Roar from her Incineroar side.
Yeah, you definitely have to be wary of the wall.
She's going to go for the stack attack. So, I mean, if Willem is calling this and he switches out his Incineroar into his own Groudon, he's going to be in a really good position.
Exactly.
He's just going to go for the attacks instead. I can understand that completely.
Yeah, Xerneas going for the Dazzling Gleam. Doesn't want to get that Geomancy up and potentially get roared out. But Groudon going for the Precipice Blades once again, connecting on both these Pokemon. It will be enough to pick up the KO on Incineroar and bring Xerneas down to only 84 HP. But this does give him the option to, like you said, Rob, bring in that Groudon to apply a lot of pressure against both of the ones on Aleksandra's side. Potentially going to get the KO on both these Pokemon. Groudon on Aleksandra's side is in such low health as well. Potentially a neutral Precipice Blades could be enough.
I think barring any misses, I think I can see a clear win condition from Willem here. Groudon, judging from the Dazzling Gleam damage, should be in Moonblast range. So if you go for a Moonblast and a Precipice Blades combination, you should be able to clean the field. And even if Aleksandra tries to switch in her Incineroar, it gets knocked out from the Intimidate. So I think Aleksandra's only play right now is to protect your Stakataka and sack your Groudon, and because then afterwards you get that fake out pressure. And I think once you get up Trick Room, then that's the only win condition Aleksandra has at that point. So if you're Willem, you might not even actually want to give Aleksandra that free switch into the Incineroar.
Exactly. If they get Trick Room up and you've got Stack Attacker and Incineroar, that can deal out so much damage. Yeah. You've already had the, believe... Did the Incineroar get KO'd on Willem's side?
Yeah, it did.
Yep, it did.
Yeah.
Sorry,
he left it into Precipice Blades. Yeah, and he's just going to go for Protect. So if you're Willem and you're going to go for an insane play, you're not going to kill the Groudon here, because that means that next turn, I don't think he's going to do it.
No, going straight for the Geomancy.
Yes, that's a really good Geomancy. I really love that here.
Yeah, really, really bold play here. Just boosting it straight up. Stack Attacker is protected.
Yeah.
So Xerneas doesn't have to fear any Gyaraballs at this stage, and it's just boosting itself up even more. Groudon's going to be able to take care of the Stack Attacker anyway on the next turn, as long as it is able to survive. So if you're Willem right now, you're going to be probably praying that this Precipice Blades is going to connect onto the opposing Groudon as Xerneas.
No, I don't think you mind at all, because you're just going to Moonblast that slot either way the next turn.
That is very true.
You don't want to give her this free switch. Where the Precipice Blade should not be able to pick up the KO.
No, it doesn't.
Either
that's
way.
really great.
So even if you do connect on the Groudon, he just has to hope that he doesn't get a critical hit actually, because if he would, that would be really bad for Willem. He actually needs to hope that Aleksandra's lives this, and she does.
Yes. Actually, we did see previously how bulky that Groudon was, and actually bulky enough, it's holding the berry, so do get the item reveal on that. Yeah. And it's now got a lot more HP, but that boosted Xerneas is not going to worry about that at all.
No,
like you said, a Moonblast could do so much.
I love this play by Willem, because like we said, you don't want to give Aleksandra the free switch into Incineroar, because with the fake out in Trick Room and the low amount of health that Willem has, that's probably game. And now, Stack Attack already protected, so he can't avoid the Precipice Blades at any point, and you can just Moonblast the Groudon. And Aleksandra's kind of this pinpoint position right now, where I think all she has to hope for now is Precipice Blades misses. So Willem put himself in a great position here, having this 85% chance, I think, to win, unless Aleksandra tries to go for double protect with Stack Attack, which is also definitely an option that she has.
Yeah, you get the chance to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, but I would say the odds are definitely in Willem's favor right now, with that Geomancy play that he did right there, leaving the Groudon in. Definitely thinking ahead, not just thinking about, I'm going to just kill whatever's on the field, and we don't see the double protect. So
no, Moonblast coming out, so Aleksandra's going to be having her fingers crossed that the Groudon is not going to be able to hit this Precipice Blades.
It's all going to come down to this. If this hits, we see Willem in top 4.
And it misses! It actually does avoid. Stack Attack is able to get up the Trick Room.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Willem there. If that hit, he would have been in top 4 right away. And I think right now, Aleksandra should be able to take the game here. Both of Willem's Pokemon are so low health. And with now so many turns of Trick Room left, Incineroar and Stakataka definitely have the potential to clean up there.
But I have loved these last couple of turns, and one of the things that's lovely with your insight there is, with the Groudon, Willem didn't want to KO it.
No, he didn't.
So he didn't want this position to come up, and it's one of those things, probably this is why I was never the best VGC player in the world, but I was, get the KOs, but they both have seen that end game situation, they visualized it. Willem knows exactly what he needed to do. He was in the perfect position to do it. Yeah. And Aleksandra knew that this was her way out. She didn't go for the double protect. She needed that miss, and that's exactly what she's got. She's now in this fantastic position with the fake out and the Stack Attacker just to clean up. I mean, look at the low HP on Willem's Pokemon here.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think if he wants to stall this out, he needs to get lucky with a lot of double protects. And what he needs is to get his Groudon outside of Trick Room to go for Precipice Blades again. So if there's any chance to win this, first he has to protect his Groudon, and then make sure that he somehow stalls out all these turns of Trick Rooms. But at least now he's going to stall out one turn probably.
Yeah, it does stall out. Goes for the protect, so the Gyarabal's not going to be dealing any damage, as Incineroar just goes straight for the Flare Blitz. Going to go into the Tapu Fini, though, that was the Xerneas, so Tapu Fini's going to be able to take this, but thanks to the Sun, it does deal that little bit extra damage than usual.
Yeah, and now Willem kind of has a choice. I think at some point you have to go for the double either way. You have a choice to go for the double protect with your Groudon right now, or switching your Xerneas. But I think either way, if you're Aleksandra, you just Flare Blitz and Gyroball that slot. Tapu Fini is not going to do much at all in this position. So you might actually try... Okay, he's actually going to sack the Xerneas first here.
Yeah, he's just going to stall out all these terms of Trick Room and just try to get his Groudon with Precipice Blades, hopefully connecting on both of these Pokemon.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Willem as well, that Tapu Fini is just not an offensive powerhouse. It's able to take a lot of these attacks, but, you know, we've seen Swagger, Haze, and Icy Wind still have the fourth move yet to be revealed, but unless it's something like Nature's Madness, it's not going to be able to chip away at these Pokemon in any way. And Stack Attacker getting the Beast Boost up as well, raising his attack stats +1, is definitely not what you want to be looking at if you're Willem. And as well now the knockoff, taking away your berry, Tapu Fini's getting whittled down as well. And Icy Wind, the fact that he's gone for that in Trick Room potentially indicates that's the only damage-dealing move that there is.
Yeah, and maybe he has... Yeah, I think we haven't seen the fourth move yet.
No, it's still to be revealed.
But at this position, that's also something you probably don't want to reveal. It's probably also not a damaging move, if I had to guess, with this kind of support Tapu Fini.
Just to get that chip with Icy Wind,
so it makes sense that you don't want to reveal that. How many turns of Trick Room do we have left? I think we have 3 turns of Trick Room left.
Yes.
So I think Willem's best odds would have been to go for double protect, then switch in Xerneas, and then get a double protect after that again. I think that was the only way. Now he needs a triple protect, if I'm correct.
No, I think he only needs the double.
He needs a double. Okay, so he needs a double protect right now. Okay, then I really agree with this play. Then he still has a 30% chance to win this. He's definitely going to protect his Groudon at this point. And then next turn, he's going to try to go for the same play again.
Well, the first protect's coming up here on the Groudon. And I love the way, though, in that position where, you know, you have the horrible situation where you avoid the attack, he's managed to see what the win con could potentially be.
Yeah.
Tapu Fini, unfortunately, going to be KO'd by the Gyro Ball. Aleksandra, I believe, has probably twigged as well what the win con is going to be for Willem here, and it's just going to be to keep clicking those protects. Incineroar can't switch out and use Fake Out again, so it's all going to come down to now the 30% chance.
Yeah, he needs to get this double protect here. So fingers crossed for Willem. If you're a fan of Willem here and you want to see him in top 4, it's all going to come down to this. Is he going to get the double protect? He's going to go for it. Oh, and he doesn't get it.
Oh, so Gyro Ball's going to go off. Should be more than enough to pick up the KO thanks to these attack boosts. But we're going to have a game 3. There's only 12 minutes left on the clock. Honestly, I don't know how, I'm still here right now. My nerves are absolutely shocked from this game.
This has been a crazy game so far.
But it's been so amazing. Both teams have got these amazing powerhouses of Groudon and amazing supports, either with the Incineroar, Tapu Fini, the Smeargle, loads of different options, and the Stack Attacker as well coming in. It's just such an incredible game. Very diverse but also similar teams, and the way that both these players are playing them as well, you can see exactly why they're in top 8 and in this situation. Yeah,
so now going into game 3, if you're Willem, you just got to shake off these misses there. His game plan has been all right. But if you're Aleksandra, you're feeling pretty good for real right now. You feel like, okay, luck is turning for me. Lady Luck is on my side right now, and going into game 3, I think both players are going to go for the same thing again. Definitely. There's been nothing wrong with either of their plays, to be honest. They've played it so well. And there's just been a little bit of Precipice Blades magic going on. Yeah, and I don't think either one has a reason to even bring different Pokemon. No. The Tapu Fini on Willem's side hasn't done too much, but just a Haze and being able to set up Misty Terrain to stop the Smeargle from lovely kissing anything makes it viable enough to bring it. Because his team is literally, Willem has the option to just support the Groudon. Yes. Because Groudon is such a good Pokemon versus Aleksandra's team. But I still understand why he brings the Xerneas, because once you get rid of that Stack Attack on Aleksandra's side, Xerneas has a really good time as well. And I don't think you really want to bring a Mungus. Yes, it could be decent in Trick Room, but it's not going to do too much damage. And you're probably going to set up your own Misty Terrain as well. Exactly. So you can't really score anything. Yeah. And Talonflame in Trick Room is also something that you don't really want to see. So I think Willem is definitely going to go with the same 4. Looking at Aleksandra's 6, I don't think she has any reason to change up either. Ludicolo is really probably just for the if there's a Kyogre matchup. So it's taking a little rest on the bench. And your own Xerneas, I don't think that's really what she wants to go for here. She could definitely try that if she really feels like that's her way to go into this game 3. But we've already seen that Willem runs that Haze Tapu Fini, so he definitely has his own ways to stop that. And we see Aleksandra switch it up and go for the Xerneas mode. She's going to copy what Willem has been using the past 2 games, and it's going to go for Incineroar Xerneas as Willem goes for the Groudon and Incineroar. So both of them changing up. And one thing to note as well, we've just had a head judge come over and reconfirm our clock. There's actually only 7.5 minutes left. Yeah, so with all these animations usually in this format, they take up some time, and this actually potentially means with the pace that this is going right now, this game could definitely go into timer. It certainly could. I mean, Precipice Blades could just be going off straight away here. Who knows? Getting crits everywhere, but I don't think it's going to be the way. And I feel like we're going to have one of these exciting going to time games. But first of all, the exciting thing here is going to be these Incineroars going for Fake Out. Yeah, and if you're Willem right now, I think he's kind of surprised by how Aleksandra changed it up here. I really like Aleksandra's Relito, because we've seen from Willem, at least we've assumed that it's probably the Saltfest Incineroar. We've seen U-turn. We can pretty safely assume that it's not going to have Roar. And at -1, his Groudon's not going to do too much against Xerneas either. So if you're Willem, you really need to reposition himself. And at Tapu Fini, even if the Xerneas is at +2, you still don't want to take Moonblasts.
Definitely not.
But it's your only way to haze away these kind of stats boosts.
Exactly. Willem's adjustment as well was perfect for if the stack attacker was there again. Can go for the Precipice Blades and try and stop that Trick Room going up. But Fake Out going to go into that Tapu Fini as Xerneas is able to get the Geomancy up. So I think it's the first time this game we've seen Aleksandra get Geomancy up on her side.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really fun how they changed up the leads right now. And it's working out in Aleksandra's favor a lot. I gotta assume that this Tapu Fini is trained to live that Moonblast at +2. Even with a little bit of Fake Out chip, you have to imagine that Willem trains his Tapu Fini to survive that. So I think next turn, now we're going to see the Precipice Blades, of course, from the Groudon.
And it avoids the Incineroar and the Xerneas. Wow. Oh, poor Willem. This Groudon has, I think it's a little bit exhausted at this stage, but this move is so unfortunate. And I think we still don't know what the fourth move is on Tapu Fini, but I really don't think it's Gravity right now. No. I feel like he would have used it. It's a mystery. Even right now, like these misses in these long games, they're already heartbreaking. But with the time running down, KOs are going to matter so much right now. And these misses are important chip that could really come back to haunt him in the end. Exactly. Even if you don't get the KOs, you want to whittle away the HP at the end in case it comes to a tiebreaker situation.
Yeah, the awkward thing right now is that Willem, he has to protect his Groudon and go for a haze with Tapu Fini, which means he's going to take a lot of damage with the Tapu Fini. And that puts Aleksandra in just a decent position again. Because yes, you get off the haze, but Aleksandra still hasn't taken any damage on her side. While Willem is probably going to take a big Moonblast into the Fini. And it looks like he's going to read. Oh, yes.
Going into that Tapu Fini.
Is it enough?
It is enough. It gets the KO on that Tapu Fini. So Aleksandra is 3 Pokemon up to 4 as Groudon goes for the Precipice Blades. This time we'll be able to connect, but thanks to the Intimidate, not going to be dealing as much damage as it would have wanted to do, as Incineroar's now able to go for a Flare Blitz. In the sun, this is really going to hurt as well. It does so much damage to Groudon.
Yeah, that's a lot of
even though it's only a ground type, it just chips away at it so strong, and now Xerneas is able to maybe go for something like the Moonblast into that slot, pick up the KO.
Yeah, and it looks like Willem was probably expecting his Fini to live there, and I think just a Fake Out chip made it not live that attack at all. So that's really unfortunate for Willem. And yeah, we've seen that this Incineroar doesn't even have Roar, so you don't even have the Fake Out / Roar mind game here. And the Xerneas on Aleksandra's side is just looking so good right now.
Exactly. Willem could go for the Fake Out onto the Xerneas, stop it going for that Moonblast and going for Precipice Blades, but then again, that Xerneas can just protect.
Yeah, and it's not like he can play too much for timer. There's still 4 minutes remaining. So that's going to be really hard to stall out a +2 Xerneas in 4 minutes. I'm not sure if he's still... Maybe you need something like a red card and Mungus in the back if he has it.
It would be the time to bring it, definitely.
It's definitely the time to bring it, but I'm still going to assume that he has his own Xerneas in the back here.
Yeah, losing that Tapu Fini was really hard for him.
But he switched out his Incineroar. Is that an Amoonguss? No, it's the Xerneas.
No, it is the Xerneas. Definitely not the Pokemon you want in this situation. A red card Amoonguss would be so hype right now.
Yeah.
But one Xerneas is going to face off against the other, as the Xerneas does go for Protect. So Willem, knowing maybe the Fake Out was really obvious and just has given himself the opportunity to bring in his own Xerneas. Potentially wants to maybe get up a Geomancy off his own. It could be his only way to start dealing out some more offensive pressure on that slot on his field. But Precipice Blades is going to be able to pick up the KO against that Incineroar. So Aleksandra will have lost her Fake Out user in Incineroar, but we've seen her bring Smeargle previously. He could just bring that in and be able to Fake Out again.
Yeah, I really like that play by Willem. He needs to make big plays now in order to get back into this game. And one of this was to kind of bait the Fake Out, bait Aleksandra to protect her Xerneas, and get at least a revenge KO, which means that he's not in such a bad position anymore. At least it's 3 Pokemon against 3 Pokemon now. And I'm not sure if he's aware of the timer at the moment. But if he is, and if he is actually playing for that time right now, he should probably take up all his move slots, all his move time right now, to make sure that he can somehow stall out the Xerneas. Because with the Assault Vest Incineroar in the back, which should be able to take a Moonblast, he has a switch in now for his Groudon. He should definitely protect the Xerneas this turn again. Bring in the Incineroar. But with the Stakataka coming in, it just threatens his own Xerneas so much. It's going to be really tough. And it looks like he is maybe aware of the timer. He is taking a lot of his time here.
The judge at the beginning of the round, I think, told them how much time was on the clock. Whether they know it's down to 2.5 minutes, I'm not entirely sure. But it's one of those things as well. The Groudon, being at -1, is not going to be dealing out the damage that it wanted to against that Stakataka. So wisely bringing in the Incineroar here just to get off a little bit of Intimidate against it so that the Xerneas can potentially get some damage off on his side. But going to see which one's going to be going first. Of course, going to be the other Xerneas.
I think he didn't go for a Protect with his Xerneas.
No, just going straight out for a Moonblast. Going to go into that Incineroar. I believe that is now confirmed Assault Vest Incineroar being able to take that Moonblast as Geomancy does go up on Willem's side. So Interestingly enough, if the Intimidate onto that stack attack is going to be enough to help it survive, we'll have to see. It's now at +2 speed. The Gyro Ball is going to be dealing even more damage.
Yeah, but stack attack is already so slow. I think if you're running decently speedy Xerneas, you're already at max base power. So I don't think that Geomancy necessarily matters. And at -1, most Xerneas should be able to take that if you're decently bulky, and it
just
barely
survives
does.
on 30 HP. So the next turn is going to be very interesting with the Xerneases.
Yeah. Just thinking, I think Willem's out right now. I think this is only out right now is he has to crit the Moonblast onto the opposing Xerneas, and then he maybe has to hope for a big Flare Blitz onto... Oh, but he protects actually.
Yeah, protects the Xerneas.
Is this a double protect then?
Xerneas on Aleksandra's side is gone for
yeah,
protect, as is the stack attacker.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. But with only 1 minute remaining, this could definitely still be interesting. Willem actually tried to read to protect, probably doubling up with the stack attacker, I've had to assume. Yeah.
Yeah, going straight into that. Wants to remove the threat of its Xerneas. And it's one of those things, there's now less than a minute left on the clock.
Yeah.
And you want to play defensively to keep your Pokemon obviously intact, but at the same time, you can't play too defensively if your HP keeps being whittled away. You need to be getting KOs. Because the moment that clock hits 0, at the end of that turn, there will be 3 additional turns of play. And at the end of those 3 turns, whichever player has got the most amount of Pokemon is going to be the victor.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think Willem has the resources anymore to really stall out those extra turns after time as well. So he's definitely going for it. We've seen him already put his hands in the air, kind of taking his time. He knows he has to let the move time run down. But it's going to be really tough for him. And